In this video, we're going to do a head-to-head comparison between the brand new SiC P365XL and its little brother, the SiC P365 regular. So now we're going to compare the features between the SiC P365XL and the original SiC P365. So sights are identical on both these guns. One big difference right off the bat is going to be that this has an optic cut, so you have the ability to mount an optic on it without having to send it off to get it milled or just do a basic dovetail style mount. Both of these have the SIG night sights with the 3-dot system. The rear dials are more subdued, and the front has a green ring around it, but that's identical. Now the triggers are different on these in terms of the trigger shape. You can see this has a flat face trigger, while this has a curved trigger. Now this is what I would call a second gen. It has the upgraded night sights. I believe this was like a late March or early April manufacture date of 2018. And they've changed the trigger out a little bit, or it feels like they have. The ones I've felt in the stores have a trigger more like this. That's your take up, creep, creep, creep. You can't really feel any wall right there, but brakes, I personally don't like a wall, so this trigger's not bad. It's nothing to brag about. It's not horrible, it's not great. It's a trigger on a $500 direct-fire handgun. Now, in this gun, light take up, a little bit of creep, and same characteristic. This feels a little bit better to me, but I will say the current production of SiC P365 seem to feel more like this trigger. So it's just going to come down to what shape you prefer. Now, magazine-wise, you can get a 12-round magazine for this, so it'll be identical in height to the SiC P365XL, or at least close to it, to my understanding. I don't have one to compare with you guys right here. Actually, that looks like it would be about the same. Like, this will turn this grip essentially into this. Now, one thing I will take into account, if you look at my grip here, you see I've got a full grip on this gun. You know, obviously you can reach the mag release. You see how that's because this grip's just a tad bit small for my hand, so I have to break that grip, break what my firing grip would be to get that mag to drop free. And you know, you have to do the same thing on this. I'm going to give them a tie on that unless your hands are substantially smaller than mine. Now you can run this 15-round mag is an option for both these guns, and SIG makes a different sleeve that'll fill in the gap right there, so you don't have to worry about, you know, overriding the mag release too hard. But ergonomically, they're identical. You just have to take into account that one can be shorter or longer depending on how you want to run it. Now, price-wise, you're looking at an MSRP of $685 versus MSRP of $599. And then street price on the internet, I found this to be $549 and this to be $638. But in my local store, this is $499 and this is $578. Now, reliability-wise, I've not had good luck with either of these guns, but I've had, believe it or not, better luck with the newer production SiC P365 than I have with this gun, with the XL. But assuming reliability is not an issue, SIG fixes all that, all those issues get handled, I'm personally going to choose the XL any day of the week, because having that longer slide for me makes it just a tad bit easier to shoot. Cuts recoil way down. Recoil impulse is quite nice for a gun this size, at least. And when you're carrying an appendix, most of your weight is going to be in the magazine, and you want to have the gun, or at least I personally like to have it high enough to get a full grip on it. So when I have it high enough above the belt line, what happens, you get a lot of weight here in the slide and in a loaded magazine. So you've got your body pressing up against it. It tends to want to tip out, and having that little bit of extra barrel length and weight down at the bottom of the gun helps a lot versus the shorter gun. There's not a lot sitting in your belt line, as you can see right there. My hand is a display. I hope this portion of the video has been helpful. Now let's go see how they shoot. Okay, so for this comparison, we're going to shoot the gun for recoil control, see how it does with the 3 different types of ammo we're using, which is 124 grain standard pressure, 115 grain standard pressure, and then 124 grain NATO spec, which is the equivalent of plus P. Then we're going to do some limp wrist testing to see how the gun handles that in case your grip gets compromised in a defensive situation. We're going to shoot at 25 to see accuracy at distance. And then we're going to shoot the test, which is at 10 yards, 10 rounds, in under 10 seconds to give you an idea of what you could do, say, at maybe 5 yards in a defensive encounter. And then we're going to shoot single hand only, just because people never practice that, and it gives you a good idea of how easy the gun makes it on you, because that's a pretty difficult task to accomplish. Okay, so right here I'm going to do some slow motion footage of the P365XL, and I've got 3 rounds of 124 grain Blazer, 3 rounds of 115 grain Independence, and 3 rounds of PPU 124 grain NATO. So we're just going to see what this looks like under slow motion. All that ammo to me felt about the same, so that's saying pretty good things about the P365XL. Nothing felt a lot hotter than anything else. So now we're going to test out the P365 in slow motion to see how it does under recoil control. And this has 9 rounds in the mag, 3 of 124 grain Blazer, 3 of 120 or 115 grain Independence, and 3 of PPU NATO. I could feel quite a difference in those last 3 rounds that had the 124 grain PPU NATO. Okay, so we're going to test some reliability under a stressful situation by doing some limp wrist testing to simulate that. I've got the Sig P365. Okay, so now we're going to take the P365XL and do some limp wrist testing just to gauge reliability in a stressful situation. Forgot to switch hands on that, but we'll finish up the last. And no issues, everything locked back just fine. Okay, so now we're going to do a little bit of limp wrist testing with the SiC P365 to test reliability under stressful situation. Not sure if I got 5 or 6 on that one. Locked back just fine. Okay, so I've got 2 B8 targets down 25 yards from me, and I'm shooting the SiC P365XL 10 rounds at each target. And I'm using the standard 12 round mags. We've got 10 loaded in them. Okay, so I'm back here at the 25-yard line, and I'm going to shoot the SiC P365 at 25 yards on a B8. Going to do this twice, no time. Now at 25 yards, this surprised me a little bit, at the same time it doesn't. I shot better. I got 10 out of 10 on each 25-yard target with the P365. I did not with the XL. I got 7 out of 10 on one and 8 out of 10 on the other, so I didn't bother scoring those, but I got a score 86 and 83 with the P365. And if you look at the groups with the P365, not bad, a couple flyers, I'll take it. But I think those groups, I didn't put it on the timer, they took me significantly longer to shoot because I know with that gun there's no margin for error. The short sight radius, the small grip, really forces you to concentrate on things, where the XL is just big enough to give you false confidence and feel like you can run the heck out of that gun. Okay, so I'm here on the 10-yard line and I'm gonna shoot the test, which is 10 rounds, 10 yards on a B8 in less than 10 seconds. And I'm shooting with the SiC P365XL with 124 grain Lawman. Okay, one thing I will say, the small circumference of this grip makes it a little bit difficult. Now I'm gonna shoot round 2. Okay, so here at 10 yards, and I'm gonna shoot the test with the SiC P365. 10 rounds, 10 yards, 10 seconds on a B8. Test number 2 with the SiC P365. Now shooting the test, with the SiC P365, I got to score 88 in 8.26 seconds. Not the best, not that happy with that. I got to score 91 in 7.38. That's a pretty good group. Now, one thing I'll mention here on the test, and this is with both of these guns, they have a very small circumference on the grip, so it's really hard to get a good purchase out of the holster with these guns. You've got a lot of space that your hand's looking to fill, and there's nothing there to fill it. So, and with the XL, I was a little bit slower on one of the times, or on both of the times, the 8.9 seconds and a 91 and a 95. But I feel like you could shoot this gun more consistently every day of the week. If we were to do this 10 times, I'm gonna put my money on the XL all day long. Okay, so I'm here at 5 yards and I'm just gonna take the SiC P365 and do some headshots into the head box. See how at 5 yards with the SiC P365XL, and I'm gonna shoot 5 rounds with the head box. Single head only. All right, so right here I'm comparing the results of the SiC P365 and the P365XL accuracy at 5 yards on the head. And the SiC P365XL takes this hands down. The group size are actually similar, but it was a lot easier to shoot this one than it was this. It took a lot more concentration with the P365. That shorter sight radius really hurts you with single hand only at such a short distance. So closing thoughts between these two guns is pretty much assuming that they were both 100% reliable and reliability was equal, I would take the XL hands down. The reason being is I carry IWB. If you're carrying in a pocket, then maybe this is probably gonna be your better choice. But if you're carrying IWB, the extra slide length is no big deal. It's actually a benefit if you're carrying appendix, at least with 90% plus of builds. The little bit of extra grip length isn't enough in most situations to matter for my body type of concealment, or guys even a little bit smaller than me. So if you're carrying with the 12-round mag, you should be good. It would be cool to get a P365 grip. If you've got a P365 and an XL, just switch out the slides. So for those situations where you want the extra concealability of having this 10-round grip, you can do that. I would actually, even if I really did need the grip length of that, I would probably buy a P365XL, and then I would buy one of the grip modules, which are now for sale, or at least I've seen them out there, for the P365, and switch it out. So that kind of gives you my opinions on the XL versus the P365. The extra slide length just makes it a tad bit more shootable, at least under stress. Like I said, there is something to having a gun this small. It's a little margin for error that makes you make every shot count. But I don't know if that's how it actually play out in a life or death situation. So you might want to take that into account.
Hope you guys have enjoyed this video. Please like, subscribe, leave me a comment down below. Tell me what other kind of videos you'd like to see from the channel, and have a great day.